There is always what we can be grateful for in every situation. There is always what we can be thankful for in every season. There is no one time when everything is wrong unless we ourselves exaggerate the situation in our minds. There's always what we can give thanks for. Let's train our minds to focus on what is right and not focus on what is wrong. I think of the Israelites in the Bible when they are brought into the wilderness by Moses on their way to the promised land. They got into that path with all excitement of going to a land that is flowing with milk and honey, but along the way they faced challenges and they got into complaining and murmuring. After they have seen so many miracles in Egypt, after they have crossed the Red Sea on land, God has made for them a path through the sea. They have seen the Egyptians drowned. So much happened. They have seen manna coming from heaven every day to feed them. They have seen miracle after miracle after miracle. But when they face hardship, they get into complaining about everything and they begin to say, we don't even have the kind of food we had in Egypt, forgetting that they were slaves in Egypt because their minds went to a place of complaining. Instead of surrendering the situation to God and saying, Father, please help us, they complained and murmured, and many of them, most of them died in that wilderness. They didn't have the power and the grace to go into the promised land because their hearts failed. They complained too much. They got into depression. They had no more faith and they died in the wilderness. What they feared dying in the wilderness. They kept telling Moses, you brought us here to die, because they were fearing to die in that wilderness. And that is what happened. So many times situations can cause us to fear, and when we fear, we can say some things that are not true or think some things that are not true because we're exaggerating the negative situation. We are seeing life as if God is not part of it and God cannot help us. But the problem with that is it becomes a self-prophecy, and that bad thing can actually happen because we give up on God, lose our faith, get into a complaining mood, and just give up, throw in the towel, and let the situation just run its course and swallow us in the process, and swallow our dreams and swallow all that we had believed, and we let things go because of fear, because of doubt. But if we keep our minds in a positive place, no matter what is going on, and how do you do this? You do it by being grateful, being thankful. When you do that, we're able to have the energy and the strength to move on to the next level, to move on to what we're believing for, into what we're dreaming of, into the life of our dreams, because we don't give up faith. When you start complaining and comparing yourself with other people, some people who are not living in faith like you, maybe some things have come easier for them. Then you start comparing your life with their life and you lose faith and start comparing and start getting bitter. When you do that, you lose everything. Maybe your life is taking longer to get to the place where you desire to be because your rewards are bigger. Your rewards are greater. Your life is bigger. So it's taking more energy, it's taking more strength, it's taking more power, more faith to get to the level that you are supposed to get to. But you have to keep your faith. You can't compare your life. You can't compare your family. You can't compare anything about you with anybody else, because that causes bitterness and anger and complaints. In that way, you shall not move, you shall not go anywhere. Let's learn to be grateful, be thankful, don't complain. In fact, think of yourself, whether you're a mother or a father, or just imagine if you would be. And your children are so ungrateful. Whenever they want something else, something more, they come to you like you've done nothing for them. They come to you with complaining, with doubt, with a heart that appreciates nothing. It will be very difficult for you as a parent to provide anything more, because you want to teach your child to be grateful for what they have. God is our Father, and He's interested in us having good character, in us having the attitude that is correct. And so if we don't have a grateful attitude, we don't have a thankful attitude in life generally, because He sees our hearts. Our hearts are before Him like an open book. So even if you come before Him and you're praising Him and thanking Him with your lips, but in your heart you're complaining, in your heart you hate your life, you don't like your family, you don't like your husband, you don't like so many things about your life, and yet God has provided so much. He's done so much for you, but you're complaining in your heart, it will take longer for what you're believing for to come to pass, because first you have to learn how to be grateful for what you have. Even if your husband, your children, even your own life is not there yet, this is what you're expecting from your husband, from your children, from your own life. Instead of putting pressure on yourself, pressure on your husband, pressure on your children, pressure on God, pressure on everything and anyone to produce for you what you want and to make happen what you want in life, be grateful for what is already there. Be thankful from the bottom of your heart for what God has already done. So many people would want to have what you have, but you're comparing with people who have more than you. You're comparing your life, you're comparing different aspects of your life and your family with other people's, and that's why you're not grateful. It is not wise, and it puts you in a place where you have no strength and you have no energy to get to the next level of your life, because complaining will put you down. Complaining will make you get depressed. And I think of Rachel and her sister Leah. They were married to Jacob, and Leah could get children and Rachel could not get children for a very long time. And the Bible says that Rachel became jealous of her sister because she could bear children. Because of this comparison with her sister's life, she became very jealous. And one day she told her husband, "Give me a child or I die." That means she got depression. She got depressed about the situation. And her husband asked her, "Am I God to give you children?" She began to blame her husband for not having children, instead of taking the situation before God and asking God to heal her life and to open her womb and to give her children. She began to blame and she got depression, and in the end she died trying to give birth to her second born. She died trying to get children to be like her sister. It leads to nothing good. This comparison leads to bitterness, leads to depression, and many times people kill themselves trying to match up with other people. How many times do we compare our husbands with other people's husbands, then start putting pressure on him, criticizing him, and in so doing kill the marriage? How many times do we compare our lives with other people's lives and get dissatisfied, and we lose our joy, we lose our peace, in that way killing our joy, killing our peace? How many times do we compare our children with other people's children and start putting pressure on them, forgetting that your strength and the strength of your children is different from the strength of somebody else, from the strength of somebody else's children, and you put pressure on the kids and destroy and kill their self-esteem and their self-confidence. Let's not compare our lives with the lives of other people. It is not wise. It leads to so much negativity, and many people die. It might not be literally, but an aspect of their lives die as they're trying to get there, where they see other people are, trying to get what maybe God has not even planned for them to have, but they get into a path of somebody else and go off their own path, and they will never be happy in that path, because we all have different destinies, we all have different lives. Let's keep to our own path. Stay in the life and destiny that God has given you to live, and be grateful, be thankful. Train your mind to be grateful and thankful in every season, every day, in all situations. There's always what to be thankful for.